Welcome back to Esox Explore. Today will be part one of a 5-part series of Do You Have the Right Baits for Your Musky Trips? Today we're going to be diving into the bucktail dilemma, and you'll see why I call that a dilemma as we go forward. I do want to start out by saying right off the bat that all baits mentioned throughout this video and future videos I choose to use. I want quality baits that produce fish for me. They're confidence baits. I have confidence in these baits. I'm not saying they're the only ones to use, but they're the ones that I would highly recommend based off of experience. I receive no compensation for the mentions of any of these baits in my videos, so that's where we're at on that aspect of it. Bucktails. I do that because we are going to get into a, what shall I say, a little dilemma here. They're not created equally. We all know that. But do we really know what bucktails are? Let me start out by sharing a little story with you in regards to bucktails. I was provided information on a specific body of water I was going to be fishing for the first time. I was told that bucktails in a certain blade and tail combination were going to be the ticket for me on this trip. Didn't want spots or anything. They just shared the blade tail color combination. I thought, no problem. I don't have that exact color combination, but I have my MEPS bucktails, which, as we know, with the split ring design, you can interchange blade and tail color combinations, and I can build that color. Not a problem. Beautiful thing about the MEPS is the versatility. I hit the water after building that specific color combination when I got up to the location, and man did I have action. Fish after fish after fish after fish, all northern pike, all on the MEPS, just one right after another. Never saw musky. Getting frustrated. Okay, what can I do here? So I went and I grabbed an eagle tail. Bigger profile, thought. Don't have the same blade tail color combination, but I thought it's close, we'll give it a shot. Well, lo and behold, I clipped that eagle tail on and it was game on. The bigger presentation was the ticket that I needed to get these musky going. They didn't want that smaller profile of the MEPS, they wanted the bigger profile of the eagle tail, which you will see in the video yet coming up. They were musky were moving, musky were eating, and caught fish, saw fish. It was great. I was actually able to spend an evening, 2, 3, 4 hours with the gentleman that gave me the information. He had no issues sharing that information with me before we got in the boat. He showed me his bucktail of this color combination, and it was not a bucktail at all. It was a flashaboo. Many of you are going to be saying, well, bucktail, flashaboo, it's all the same thing. No, it's not. That's where I'm going to put my foot down on that one and say they are not the same. I proceeded to stick with my eagle tail in the combination that I had working. I go on to boat 3 musky, with this 51.5 being my biggest fish in a matter of just a few hours. His flashaboo, his hot flashaboo, his hot bucktail that night, nada, zilch, zippo, never saw a fish. He throws true bucktails as well, but what he said and what he meant were two different things to me. He didn't mean to not tell me everything. He gave me the color combination of his bucktail that he was throwing. But to me, a bucktail is a bucktail, and we'll get into that. I truly believe that the younger anglers today, he's not a younger angler as well either, it's just that what he had mentioned to me, but many of the younger anglers today, or guys that are just getting into musky fishing, the ones that are new to the sport, are missing out on so much action by throwing what they are being told are bucktails, and they're sticking strictly to those bucktails, which, as we know when you look in the market, are going to be flashaboos. Nothing wrong with those. You'll see my selection, what I throw and everything, but there's such a huge difference with these things. They all have a time, they all have a place, and each of the material that the bucktails are made out of definitely have a time, definitely have a place in the musky world, in our daily musky trips. So let's take a look at what some of these bucktails all entail. Again, as I said, bucktails, and we know this, are not created equally. Fishermen know this, so it is nothing new for me to say this, but what are often referred to as bucktails are not bucktails at all, as I had pointed out just prior to this. They are spinners or inline spinners. All bucktails are spinners of some sort, but not all spinners are bucktails, and this is true to a point. The four main components, or the four main materials used in bucktails and the tail aspect of it, are true bucktail, flashaboo, marabou, and one that's so overlooked by people that people shouldn't is the silicone skirting. Not the rubber skirting, but more of the new silicone aspect of the skirting. So let's get into the bucktails that I use. Bucktails that I use, hands down, day in and day out, my number one is going to be the eagle tail, originally made by George Wall, who has since unfortunately passed away, but fortunately for us in the musky world, these are still available if you know where to go to get them. Typically, you're not going to find these hanging in stores and everything to sell, but believe it or not, Musky Mayhem, as we know, maker of the Cowgirls, the original true big bladed flashaboo tails, Brad and Carrie actually make these. So all of my new eagle tails I get, and I custom order all my tails and everything from them now, they make for me. This is the bait right here. This is the exact bait that I caught the 51.5 on. 11 inches long, 2 ounces. It's a single size 9 fluted blade, and they sport the big single hooks. Absolutely love these baits, and you are able to custom order these in your blade and tail color combinations from Musky Mayhem. All I have to do is contact Brad or Carrie, or Brad and Carrie, and they can get you set up with the eagle tails. The other bucktail that I use, Mepps. Of course, split ring design, easy to change. You can change your blade tail color combination on the water. You can change that with the light conditions, things like that. But this is the standard musky killer, size 5 French blade. Here's the Magna musky killer. I do that in tandem. They make singles. I am not a small bait person like that. For me, they're just too small. I prefer the tandem, the bigger profile baits. Even though they're bigger profile, they're still not that big of a bait. In fact, here are these guys, and this is how it compares to an eagle tail. You can definitely tell that there is a huge difference between these two. So, but I'll go to these either one early season, 2 post frontal conditions, or high pressured situations, things like that. But that's when I go to the Mepps tandem musky killers, is what they are, in either the size 5 French blade or the size 7 Magnum French blade. One bucktail that is new to me this year, and I custom ordered some of these guys, is Spanky Baits hairballs. This is a 12-inch, 3.3 ounce bait. Typically, when you order these from Dan, or get them from Dan, or find them in shops, you're going to see these in size 10 blades. I custom ordered mine with size 8 blades. These are a thicker, heavier blade, so they are going to run spin a little bit slower, but they are going to give me a lot of thump to them. As compare these to the eel tail, they're going to be very similar as far as the size of it goes and everything, but the blades are going to be different, and that is going to be huge. So this is going to be the hairball from Spanky's. Again, I went with this custom made this thing and had them do these with the size 8 blades. So many guys are throwing 10s. I wanted a little bit different vibration with the size 8s, so I had them go with size 8s on these. But this is the Spanky hairball. Flashaboos. Flashaboos I use, my number one go-to Flashaboo up to this point and everything has been the Musky Mayhem series. All the different ones, and I'll show you the ones that I personally throw on a regular basis. Start with the big one. This is a supermodel, sports double 13 blades, the full Flashaboo on that and everything, double hook design, great bait, heavy. A lot of drag on this one. It's not typically one that guys are going to be throwing all day long, but as a throwback bait or in certain situations and everything, if you want to give something a bigger, the fish a bigger look, right here is going to be the one to go with. Then the detonator. This one is a 1310 is a 13 blade and a 10 blade on it. This great bait, 2-hook design. They do have the bent arm because of the different sized blades giving a different pull to it and everything. So that is the detonator. Again, one that I don't typically throw day in and day out all day long, but I'll use it in certain situations, and it has moved a lot of really nice fish for me on that one. The big go-to one that I have real super confidence in is the original double cowgirl. This is sports 2 number 10 blades on that. So this is one of the custom ones I have made up. All of these baits that you're going to see are custom colors and everything that I had them make up for me. But again, it's a 2-hook design, good full bait, has done really well for me, and I highly recommend the double cowgirls, the double 10 ones there. The next ones are the junior cowgirls. These are going to be the double juniors. These are sport 2 number 8 Colorado blades. Again, this is a bait that I had them custom make for me. If you see it, it's like a lot of black on black. This is going to be a good one for me for evening fishing, night fishing. Again, double hook model, good size bait. It's not going to have a whole lot of drag to it, which is going to be nice throwing it all day long, but this is going to be the double cowgirl junior. This one is an interesting bait, but I do really like it. This is the Moon series. This is the DS4. As you can see, it has 2 sets of double blades on it. I really like this for night fishing. So many times at night the fish are going to come and they're going to hone in on the vibration of the blade. Well, these are going to have 2 different ones. If you notice, if they hit it high up front, they may or may not get that front hook. But in the back with those blades, if they're going for the back blade, right there is the hook. I do really like the Moon series for an evening or a night bite, low light condition situations. I've done really well with these also during the day in certain color combinations and everything. So that is definitely one that you want to take a look at. The other one. This one is a MEPS. This is the double-bladed Flashaboo. They actually make a single-bladed one. I will go and I will be completely honest with you. I do not like the single-bladed MEPS Flashaboo. at all. I will take my single bladed Colorados and I will put them on my marabous, but I will take them off of my flashaboos. I think, personal opinion, is that you do not get enough of the vortex from the blades to really get that tail moving. So the double bladed is better. This one in particular, if you can see the blades taking a real big beating. That tail is normally a little bit fuller than what it is. It is a double hook series, and it does have their split ring on it and everything. This particular bait has taken my second big fish. This exact bait right here in my hand took my second big fish of 55 1/4 by 27. That was in post-frontal conditions. So again, post-frontal conditions, cold front conditions, things like that, I'll drop down a little bit in size. So this one actually produced that on the 4th cast on a spot that I had found. So the big baits, big fish doesn't always hold true, but on this situation, this bait really did well for me. Again, good combinations they offer. If you want something a little bit bigger, that is the biggest size that they do, though. If you take a look and you compare that to the double or the standard cowgirl, significantly larger. Even if you take a look at actually, this is the double cowgirl right there with the size 10s. The one I showed you before, I'll put that one up again, that was the junior. This is going to be the junior size on this one in comparison. So even the junior size cowgirl is going to be significantly larger than what the MEPS is. Time and a place for the MEPS though. One that's going to be new for me this year, again, is from Spanky Bait Company. This is going to be the Fireball. This has twin 8s, again, thicker blades to it and everything. Custom colors that I had them do. The blades are a .040 thickness, as opposed to most of the blades. The size 8 blades have a .025. It's going to spin a little bit slower, going to give it a little bit different vibration and everything with those thicker blades. But I think that this one is going to be pretty deadly. Again, a little bit bigger profile, about the same length and everything as the MEPS, but a little bit bigger profile with the way it's tied and everything compared to what the MEPS is. But those are the flashaboos that I use. Marabou tails. The marabou tail that I use far and away is going to be the MEPS Musky Marabou. Again, you can see how this thing is taking a beating. If you take a look at the blade, close look at the blade, you can't get that one anymore. It looks white, yep, but that's actually the original white pearl that they used to make. I prefer the white pearl, so I have some of these left over. I still have a couple of, and I prefer the white pearl over the straight white, but that's me. That white black white has been deadly. I mean, if you're going up the Lake of the Woods, white black white, that thing is a killer. They do the single blades. You can put the double blades on them and everything. Personally I prefer the single blades to the double blades on the marabou, but I do put them on one on occasion. One marabou that I do have to take a look at for future, not yet anymore this year, but Spanky makes the Firebirds, and it's going to be a much larger profile than what the MEPS is. Again, it's going to almost be more like a feather duster. But as far as the marabous go, right now it definitely would be the MEPS Musky Marabou in the singles. One skirting material that is not popular yet, but that people really need to take a serious look at, is going to be the silicone skirting. One company heads and shoulders above everyone else that does silicone skirting. Not a huge company yet, but one that you definitely need to take a look at, and that's going to be this one here, Figure 8 Lure Company. They tout themselves, and I totally agree with what they state, is that they're the next generation of inline spinners and spinner baits because of their skirting. These again, stand above all other companies in my opinion, as far as the companies that do silicone skirting, and Don has a great thing going here. And this is the silicone skirting I'm talking about. Real flexible. It's not your traditional old thin rubber skirts that, if some of the older guys know, that would get hard and crunchy. These things do not do that. These things are amazing. So definitely one that you're going to want to take a look at. If you take a look at the baits that they offer everything from the big double 13s, which are two number 13 blades, baits 12 inches long, 4.7 ounces. A big one. Definitely one that you're going to want to take a look at. And the next one would be a Big Mama, which is two number 10 blades. Again, as you can kind of see how it's kind of progressing down, just like with the Mayhem tackles and everything, but these are going to be the silicone skirting that you definitely want to take a look at. The Big Mama is 11 inches long, 3.5 ounces. The JT has two number 9 Magnum blades, 9 inches long, 3.2 ounces. Now, what they've done with Figure 8 is they've kind of incorporated not only Colorados, but they've also incorporated the fluted blades. So it's double fluted and double Colorados on certain of these baits. So you're definitely want to get online right here and take a look at what they have. You have the Bubba, which is two number 8 Magnum blades, 8 inches long, 1.65 ounces, and then the Enforcer, which is two number 8 fluted blades, 7.5 inches long, 1.65 ounces. So you can kind of see the progression down as far as size goes. They also have the Big Daddy, which features two number 7 fluted blades. It's 9 inches long, comes in at 2.6 ounces. So you're able to see that they not only use the Colorado blades, but they also use the fluted blades in their baits. They have smaller baits. Again, like I said, with the single MEPS, I'm not a big small bait person myself. The Enforcer at 7.5 inches long, I think is small enough for me. For where I want to be as far as my baits go and everything. But if you want smaller, you can go on smaller and things like that. Go smaller, and they're gonna be fantastic pike baits. So if you're gonna be after pike and everything, you can actually take a look at the smaller baits. Or if you're in a river system, a lot of times guys fishing rivers like to go downsize and maybe go as big as the Bubba and then go down from there. But if you're going to be looking at adding anything to your arsenal, definitely take a look at Figure 8 Lure Company. They have great color combinations, and I know that there's going to be more color combinations to come. They're going to be expanding some things, so definitely you want to check them out. The last style of spinner that we're going to talk about is actual spinner bait. When you're looking at spinner baits and you're looking at quality and things like that, definitely, in my personal opinion, Figure 8 Lure Company, which you may or may not have heard about or heard a lot about, but you'll definitely want to take a look at, is going to be the one that you're going to do that with. And here's these guys. This is actually the smallest one they make, the Boss series. And then this is the largest one that they make of the size of the Boss. The bigger ones sport that big tail. Some other companies put smaller twister tails on. This thing sports a huge, nice wide tail on it, heavy grub and everything, 8 inches long, 2.5 ounces. You can get it in fluted or willow blade configuration. Has double blades, a lot of thump from the blades, the tail, everything. These are going to be ones that you can get into the reeds, the weeds, work them through that heavy cabbage, things like that. These are awesome. These things by far and away are, in my opinion, the best ones on the market. 051 wire, heavy gauged wire on that. One nice thing, and I think it's probably one of the most important features that Figure 8 offers, is a ball bearing, I just touched it, ball bearing snap swivel on that blade, so you're able to interchange blades, kind of build kind of color combinations that you want, things like that. But that ball bearing swivel by far and away is going to beat any crane swivel out there that guys are putting on. And also some guys just put a bend in that wire, and if that wire comes open at all or gets caught in a net or anything, or isn't closed tight enough all the way, that blade can fly off. What figure eight does is they put a partial twist on there and everything, so that is there's no way that blade is going to be coming off of there. It's not going to fly off in a cast, anything. This whole bait would just have to fall apart for that thing to fall off. But the ball bearing snap swivel, that is a huge component on that. They also have the mini boss, which is 6 inches, 1.25 ounces. Same configuration at the boss, and then the micro boss, which is this guy right here. Again, all of them have that ball bearing snap swivel holding those blades on at the top and everything. All of them have double hook setups, so if you're going to be looking at something for smaller presentation, the mini boss and the micro boss are definitely ones you want to take a look at. I do know that figure eight is also going to be coming out with another one that you're going to want to keep your eyes on and keep your ears open for. It's going to be a completely different design. No bait company ever has done a configuration like this. And it is going to be a fish catching machine for you guys. You're going to definitely want to take a look at that one when it comes out, and once it does get released and everything, maybe I'll do a video on that one and kind of explain features with that. But let me just say this: tick, tick, boom. To wrap up this bucktail dilemma, shall we say, there's only one material of bucktail that I showed you, and that was with the eagle tail, the Mepps musky killers, and then the spanky hairballs are the ones that I had showed you. Those are the true bucktails. If you go into any of the big retailers, pretty much any tackle shop that handles musky baits, but if you go online, you can take a look at them. Go and check out Raleigh and Helen's or the Musky Shop or whatever they go by now. Take a look at their selections. The majority of their baits, if you take a look at their walls, hundreds of different baits, different color combinations, different manufacturers, but most of the ones that guys call bucktails really aren't bucktails. There are very few true bucktails left on the market today. But if you're not throwing all of the different tail configurations, the material and everything, the bucktails, the flashaboo, the marabou, and definitely the silicone, those are the 4 that you definitely need to be taking a look at. You're missing a lot of fish. If you tie yourself to one material, you are definitely missing out on a lot of fish. You have to be versatile. The fish don't always want a flashaboo. They don't always want a bucktail. They won't always want a silicone. They won't always want a marabou. Every single one of those materials have their time, their place, their action that they have and everything. Some a little bit more subtle, some are flashier. They all have their time and place. So if you're not throwing all the different configurations and you aren't set up with those things and everything, you're missing out on a lot of fish. And I'm not saying that to help these guys sell more baits, because it's just a true fact that all of these are different. All of them have their own applications. One of the biggest things that I'm going to talk about quick is leaders and everything. 7-strand and fluorocarbon leaders are my 2 go-to. Extremely important aspect of musky fishing is the leader choice and everything. I will tell you this, that the majority of my time I am throwing 130-pound fluorocarbon leaders. There are situations where I will switch to a 90-pound 7-strand. They all have ball bearing swivels on them. The exception would be when I go to a 7-strand is if I'm fishing around rock if I'm in an area with our lovely zebra mussels, anything that can really get nicked up from those things. And if I'm fishing at night. When it gets closer to dusk, I'm cutting off my fluorocarbon no matter what the light condition is, and I'm tying on that 7-strand wire leader, and here's why. Musky, they use their lateral line, as a lot of fish do, to hone in on their baits, whether it's during the day, low light, night, whatever. But at night, they use that vibration, that lateral line so much, and they're honing in on the blades. Well, if you got this, I just grabbed this one, and they decided they're going to hit the blade up on here when that thing is spinning, they come up and they hit up front, they're going to get that leader in their mouth. Although fluorocarbon is a fantastic leader, it can be cut by their teeth. And for that reason, I will switch completely to a 7-strand wire leader for all of my night fishing. Get done with that, cut it off, retie my fluorocarbon for the next day to start with. But that is probably one of the biggest things that I would recommend night fishing with bucktails, with spinners and everything, is going to a 7-strand wire leader for the protection from the fish's teeth. But hopefully you're able to get some out of this, the bucktail dilemma, and see that there are many different spinners out there that are not bucktails, that people are calling bucktails. So if companies are that, I guess that's one of the biggest pet peeves that I have, is when a company says, yep, here's our bucktail. Okay, I want that company to take me to the woods and show me where there is a deer running around with that sticking out of its butt. That is not. Although some of the greens and yellows that are on the bucktails and everything, that is true bucktail hair. If there's any baits that are made with that faux bucktail, I don't even go with them. There's one company that does that, they have a bait that's made out of bucktail, but they had switched to faux bucktail because of the cost and everything and the availability. I personally think that faux bucktail is garbage, but my personal opinion. But again, bucktails are bucktails, flashaboos are flashaboos, marabous are marabous, and silicone is silicone. But again, only one true bucktail. Coming up is going to be part 2. I think you're going to get some good stuff out of the next 4 parts, since it's a 5-part series. But until then, have a good one, good fishing, and go get yourself bucktails.